A former ATF deputy director and whistleblower came out last week and spoke about the dangers of a Biden campaign that thinks they have nothing left to lose, and revealed that one of the many things the ATF and Biden have been contemplating is a plan to reclassify Glocks as machine guns under the NFA. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into the good stuff, today's video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company. Blackout Coffee is a family-owned roaster based out of sunny Florida that works to not only bring you amazing coffee, tea, and hot chocolate, but also partners with some of your favorite channels, like mine, and gun rights groups to help support the Second Amendment. So to get a great cup of coffee that you can be proud of, donate to some of your favorite gun rights groups, and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. This story is a complex one with a lot of moving parts. I almost didn't do a video on this because it seems so outlandish and far-fetched, but when you look at all of the parties and moving parts involved, it starts to look a lot more suspicious and a lot more likely. One of the things that I have covered on this channel recently is the lawsuit that Chicago and anti-gun groups are bringing against Glock, claiming the guns are readily convertible into machine guns, that Glock is aware of this and has purposefully not changed any of their designs in order to skirt the law and essentially market themselves to criminals. If Chicago won, it would result in Glock being banned in the state of Illinois. It's a flimsy accusation at best and does nothing to combat the auto sears that someone can buy from China or just print off the internet, at least in terms of talking about the, quote, real problem. We also know that 13 other AGs have sent letters to Glock warning them to prepare for litigation from them as well, also with the accusation that Glock is purposefully designing their guns to allow full autos to flood the streets. And all of these politicos claim that Glock is doing it on purpose, knowing about the problem, and just doesn't give a crap. So that's part one. Now, part two. A couple weeks ago, the House Oversight Committee got a bug in their ear that the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which I'm going to call the office from now on because that's a long and annoying title, was involved in that lawsuit. Of particular note, it came out that the office may have been in contact with gun control groups and Chicago officials before the lawsuit was filed, and that communication was centered around a meeting that the ATF had with Glock just one day before the Chicago lawsuit. That meeting was a demand for Glock to change their designs to make the guns harder to convert to full auto. And allegedly, Glock said no at that meeting, making the ATF not thrilled. So the ATF turned around and, with the office, shook some hands at Everytown and in Chicago with a little wink wink, nudge nudge. We also know that this meeting was supposed to be private, but somehow the folks at Everytown knew about it within hours, which suggests some collaboration, we'll call it. Given past White House, ATF, and gun control tactics, it's not outside the realm of possibility that someone said to Glock, make these changes or we're filing our lawsuit, and in fact, that's exactly what it looks like, and that's the accusation. So James Comer sent letters to the Office of Gun Violence Prevention and the ATF for information on all of their communications about Chicago, Glock, Everytown, and this lawsuit. Instead, the White House responded by asking the Oversight Committee to help them in their quest to end gun violence, accused Comer of being an attack dog for the gun lobby, provided a list of all of Biden's so-called accomplishments on the topic of gun control, claims that he had reduced violent crime, and told Comer and his committee to go F themselves and investigate already illegal auto sears instead. So the White House's response to accusations of collusion is the political equivalent of the Spider-Man meme saying, "No, you." It's not any proof that they're guilty, but it sounds a lot like projecting, deflecting, and hiding information while claiming they have nothing to hide. Now also consider that the de facto head of the White House gun office is Rob Wilcox, a former Everytown lobbyist. He also, according to Pete Furselli, has a lot of influence at the ATF right now. Furselli is a retired ATF deputy assistant director and was one of the folks who blew the whistle on Operation Fast and Furious. And he didn't really retire all that long ago. As he pointed out recently, the left tries to attack things, not the people responsible for whatever violence or crime is committed with those things. According to Furselli and his sources, one of the things being kicked around by the gun office is to have the ATF reclassify Glocks as machine guns under the NFA to either force the company to change their design or effectively have their products banned to the average citizen without ATF approval. I also don't think that this is that far outside the realm of possibility, as that's basically what New York is trying to do with a bill that claims to be aimed at Glock for this exact reason, but effectively would ban any semi-auto rifle or pistol that could be modified or converted. Which is all of them. These gun groups have also been going after semi-autos for quite some time now and seem to like to use the terms interchangeably, thinking that everything is somehow a full semi-automatic machine gun. And we all know that the ATF loves making up new definitions to words. According to these sources, the ATF hadn't taken any action on this when it was first suggested, but now we have this meeting and this lawsuit and a desperate Biden with poor performance, who keeps claiming he's going to do XYZ gun control and tanking in the polls. If somehow the machine does its machine thing and the Dems get a second term, that's even more dangerous for Second Amendment rights. And just because the ATF has been getting their butt whooped doesn't mean they won't keep trying, or Biden won't propose more rules or order them to propose new rules, like this Glock rule. It would, on its face, have more merit than the stupid auto key card case, which the ATF won. If they can successfully argue that a drawing is a machine gun, they might be able to argue that a Glock is an almost machine gun. And while they just lost on bump stocks, that might not stop them from reclassifying entire guns rather than parts of guns, as their whole MO is, again, making up new rules and making people's lives hell under those rules while the courts decide what to do about it. And we all know that Biden's and the anti-gun left's ultimate goal is a total gun ban. This, like the New York ban, would be a nice little backdoor way of achieving it. Or at least getting their foot in the door. Now, according to Furselli, the White House has also been talking with the ATF about a rule that would stop any gun companies with government contracts from also selling on the civilian market. The ATF hasn't bitten on this one yet either, but that doesn't mean the White House can't attempt to do it themselves. I think that rule would have an even worse shot because, sure, gun companies might have military or law enforcement contracts, but there's a lot more of us gun owners than there are cops or military, even with the overlap. A move like that would probably cost gun makers money, and then the government would be left holding the bag when no one wants a government contract. And maybe that's why the ATF and White House haven't moved on it yet. We'll see if they ever do. Both of these proposals have so far been gentle nudges, according to Furselli, but maybe less gentle as the Biden administration feels more pressure to make some grand last stand. Let's hope that it never comes to fruition, but now we know that it's on their radar. Comer's request to the ATF and White House asked for any and all documents and communications between any individual at the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Everytown for Gun Safety, and Everytown law related to auto sears, Glock switches, machine conversion device, and Chicago litigation. Which is a pretty valid and wide net that still made the White House say. The deadline came and went. Comer could theoretically expand that request and keep pushing to get any information on these new proposals. Both of them certainly wouldn't be outside the ATF's purview, as we've been seeing them try to strong-arm everyday citizens for decades and have really upped the ante under the Biden administration. They and Biden have pretty clear goals at this point, and none of those goals involve the preservation of the Second Amendment. We can only hope that Comer and the Oversight Committee keep pushing on this, but they've been pushing on a lot of things that happened under the Biden administration, which have been proven true, and then nothing happened. So where it all falls, only time will tell. That is it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you think that this is just a big nothing burger or something that might actually be floating around behind the scenes. I'm curious on your thoughts on this. As for everything else, you know the drill for all the other algorithm things. Like, share, and subscribe. If you are new here, drop those comments. And as always, thanks for tuning in and happy shooting.